as far as some interesting news notes as far as Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Daima go today. Now, we are live right now on the Geekdom 101 channel. If you're gonna ask a question, leave a super chat. I will get to those at the end. I want to go over the news first and foremost at the beginning of the stream because I'm planning on having this stream stay up for people to get all the news as early as they can when it comes to the future of Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Daima, and when it comes to what they have planned. Now, I titled this, well, not, it's mostly in the thumbnail, but it talks about how Dragon Ball producer confirms 10 more years of content. We're going to get to all of that here in just a moment because I'm talking about Akio Iyoku, who is the head of the Dragon Ball room, the producer of Dragon Ball, and he is also the owner of Capsule Corp Tokyo. Now, if you've been following my channel, if you are new here, different story, make sure you subscribe if you're new. But if you've been following the channel, I've been covering this news for the past year about all the behind the scenes changes. And I did a video a few weeks ago here on the channel where I discussed Akio Iyoku's plan for the future. There's two videos I did. There's one specifically called where is Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Daima explained. I went into that video why we're getting Dragon Ball Daima, why the Super anime is not continuing at this time, and I talked about Akio in that video and kind of what the corporate structure is. I've been discussing this now for months. I think I'm the only content creator on YouTube who actually goes into like the behind the scenes of Dragon Ball as far as production goes, as far as like what's going on behind the scenes as far as the corporate stuff goes. That's kind of where I find that to be a specialty of mine because nobody else talks about this stuff. Usually I talk about stuff after the fact. I'm talking about current behind the scenes movements. And I talked about how months ago when it first came out how Akio Iyoku is good for Dragon Ball because had it not been for Akio Iyoku being the producer of Dragon Ball, you would have never gotten Dragon Ball Super Broly. You would have never gotten Superhero with Gohan as the lead. So if you're a Gohan fan, you should be thankful that Akio-san is still pushing Toriyama to write stories about him. And if you're a fan of Broly, you should be thankful because Akio was the one that brought him back, that wanted to bring him back. There are other decisions that Akio has made to further Dragon Ball, but he's been criticized because people have said, well, he focuses too much on the past, bringing back Broly or bringing back old characters. And while that may be true, if he's not involved, Lord knows what else we'd be getting. Like, him being involved is a pro to Dragon Ball because he's the guy who is pushing things. And the news, in case you are new here, the news had come out a few months ago because he was the head of the Shueisha Dragon Ball room that he was leaving to start his own company, Capsule Corp Tokyo. This company is going to be in charge of Dragon Ball anime and Dragon Ball video games. The manga is still going to be Shueisha. However, Akio will have influence over everything because he's been involved with Dragon Ball for many years. He's kind of like the Kevin Feige of Dragon Ball. If Toriyama's the Stan Lee, he's the Kevin Feige. Now, Toriyama still writes a lot of the stories. He still is heavily involved creatively. So it's not like with Stan Lee, who had already kind of been retired before he passed away. Toriyama's only semi-retired. But I want to get to all the news here. And again, if you have questions, feel free to leave your super chats. I want to go ahead and discuss the first bit of news here coming from Dragon Ball DBS Chronicles or Super Chronicles. This news I want to go into right now to open up the video or stream. First thing I want to discuss, this is 100% Chronicles' news. This is not mine. Please do not credit me as having this news. I haven't heard this from anybody. I don't know if it's true. Chronicles has been a reputable source in the past, so I haven't been able to double check this, but I'm going to tell you what he said. He says that for Dragon Ball Daima, that Hiroki Takahashi, the singer of Dragon Ball's Makafushigi Adventure, which is the intro to the original Dragon Ball series, dun 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 dun, that theme, that guy, he's coming back for Dragon Ball Daima to sing the opener for Dragon Ball Daima. Now, I hadn't heard that. There were rumors about Kageyama coming back for Superhero that wound up not being true. I didn't really talk about that too much. I think it was more of a fan speculation type of thing, but this is the first big piece of news, is that Hiroki Takahashi, dude, this man was the first guy to ever sing a Dragon Ball song, and he's coming back for Daima because this is the 40th anniversary. So many people have been asking, well, why is Goku being turned to a kid again? Is this GT 2.0? No, it has nothing to do with GT. It's because it's the anniversary of Dragon Ball, which started November of 1984. And that's why Daima exists. I went into explicit detail on all of this in that video I mentioned, which I'll probably leave as a card up here, or actually up here at some point. So that's the first piece of news, okay? The second piece of news is this one right here. There's an interview that was put out by Nikkei.com. The article came out January 5th, so that was yesterday, from Akio Iyoku. And first, so I want to credit Chronicles and Sailor Jupiter for this, for finding this. This is going into the future of Dragon Ball and where Akio wants this to go. We're going to talk about all of that today. We're going to go over everything. Because here's the thing. If you've been subscribed to my channel and you've actually been paying attention, you would know a lot of this because I've been discussing it for the past few months. I said, Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Daima will be two separate things. Daima will be the anime product going forward to tell this mysterious Toriyama story, but the manga of Super will continue. And in that video that I did, Where is Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Daima Explained, in that video I discussed why they're going with Daima now as opposed to continuing Super. This is all verifiable information. Now, I'm going to go into this and give you more information about what I believe and what I've heard and what this all means, right? Because obviously we're going to go through the interview, but I'm going to basically translate it, not from Japanese, but I'm going to simplify it so that by the end of this, you understand exactly what's going on. You know, it's not a mystery to you. You understand what I'm saying? It says here, for the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball in 2024, the series will be revived as a completely new anime, which is Dragon Ball Daima. The immortal Son Goku chose the United States, not his home country of Japan, as the place to announce the return. They go into Akio Iyoku, the president of Capsule Corporation Tokyo, which is the company he started. I told you guys, remember what I said? I said if Iyoku is at the panel in New York Comic Con, the deal has been made. And Capsule Corp Tokyo is now in control of Dragon Ball. Well, guess what? This confirms it. Capsule Corp Tokyo is now in control of Dragon Ball's anime and video games. That's who we're going to turn to. You got Shueisha at the top and Toriyama. You've got beneath them Bandai, who is making the games, but they answer to Capsule Corp Tokyo. You've got Toei, who's going to be animating the TV shows and the movies, but they have to answer to Capsule Corp Tokyo. And then, of course, you've got the manga from Shueisha directly. So that's the way the corporate structure works. They talk about how New York Comic Con, 3,000 fans cheered. Well, we know a couple fans that didn't cheer. Let's not go ahead of ourselves there. 3,000 fans didn't cheer. A lot of them did, but not all 3,000. In the past, overseas expansion of anime was treated as an extra. The original manga was published in book format, became a hit, and was then made into an animated series in Japan. According to Mr. Iyoku, overseas expansion was something that would always come later. And he's right. They would. How many times did Japan get stuff before us, guys? Japan would always get, even superhero, Japan got it 2 months before we got it in the United States. And then you've also got Dragon Ball Super Broly, which was a month before. But our premiere, the one in California, the Broly Chinese premiere at the Chinese theater, I was there. That was the closest we had ever come to getting something right when it came out. And if you're really old school, you know that Dragon Ball Z ended in 1996. And yet the Dragon Ball Z dub didn't even come out until 1996. I'm talking about Majin Buu ended in 96 in Japan. The Raditz fight started in 96 in Canada and America. So America, Australia, Europe, Canada, we've always gotten stuff late. Meanwhile, they announced Daima in New York Comic Con. Times are a changing. Let's not forget that even Super, we had to pirate Super for a while before, like, we had to watch it via Japanese streams before Crunchyroll had it. So, I mean, it is what it is. You know, everybody did that. Now it's changing. It says here there was a time when Dragon Ball anime was sold overseas for about 1,000 an episode. I never knew that. I never knew it was $1,000 per episode. Currently, the idea is to expand the production to the rest of the world without separating domestic and overseas markets. It's only because of the huge domestic market that overseas expansion was not seen as a viable option after reaching a record high 6.53 million copies of Weekly Shonen Jump over by the end of 1994. Thanks to the exploding popularity of Dragon Ball, the circulation of this magazine fell to about 1.2 million by 2023. But that's because Dragon Ball in 94 was at its boom in Japan. Dragon Ball was red hot in 94 in Japan. We didn't even get it until later. But they're talking about how things were as opposed to the way things are. So it says, this is like all numbers and stuff. So it says here, the content market has been revolutionized by the rise of streaming services. Now, we've talked about how Dragon Ball Daima is supposed to be a streaming anime, right? We haven't gotten an actual place where it will be streaming yet. Like, we don't, like, Crunchyroll seems to be the number one suspect. I said it would probably be Crunchyroll, but we don't know that for sure yet. So that remains to be seen. I'm going to go into more of that here in just a minute. It says here, more than 1 billion viewers around the world consume the works of art, regardless of place and time. Unless we leap out of Japan, where the market is limited, like the Monkey King, and fight our way across the globe. That's great. We will not be able to get our best in the world. The U.S. has recognized the potential of Japanese anime and is spending huge sums of money to acquire it. The budget for Pluto, an anime based on Naoki Urasawa's novel that Netflix began distributing in October 2023, is over 300 million yen per episode, 45 times the usual budget. I mean, yeah, budgets going up is a good thing. I don't know anything about Pluto. I can't even comment on that. But if it means the anime will be higher quality, you know, visually and audibly, I'm fine with it, yo. The challenge is to make the leap to the next generation's industry. This is, of course, they're talking about streaming, where Dragon Ball Daima will likely end up. Many of the Japanese people grew up watching Son Goku, who became stronger and stronger by breaking through his limits every time he met a powerful enemy. When faced with a difficult situation, as Son Goku would say, "I'm getting pumped up. Let's enjoy facing new challenges and take over the world without fear of failure." And here's kind of the countries that are like that, basically like that encompass the fans that they haven't even really touched on this yet, because India has an explosive amount of Dragon Ball fans, and yet it's a market that hasn't really been tapped into as strongly as it should have been. You know, it as strongly as it should have been. Now, in this interview, Akio Iyoku, the president of Capsule Corp Tokyo and the producer of Dragon Ball, said that he will continue to produce more anime, movies, and games for the next 10 years. You understand what I'm saying? He said that he's going to be producing anime, manga, and he'll be involved with, he ain't going to be the only one. He will be involved with producing anime, manga, video games. He's not going to make them all himself. Obviously, one person can't make everything, right? But because of this interview, I think people are let me actually get to the other part of the interview. Hold on one second, guys. I'm trying to pull this up right here. I want to get the actual quote. Okay, I got it. Hang on. Here we go. This is where, okay. Indomitable Spirit, Indomitable Dragon Ball. Hold on, let me make sure. Is this? Okay, I'm good. Inheriting the mission, a global strategy to reach the next generation. This is what I was talking about the next 10 years of Dragon Ball. Okay. Dragon Ball celebrates its 40th anniversary 2024. Dragon Ball is the unique and amazing work. Okay, we know all that. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. As the executive producer of a work with unprecedented longevity, my mission is to expand and convey what the original creator Akira Toriyama has created, the original manga. I will continue to produce works such as anime series, movies, and games over the next 10 years. Now, look, he says, I want to clarify something. He says he's going to continue to produce anime, movies, and games for the next 10 years. That does not mean Daima is going to be 10 years old. That does not mean that Super is going to run for 10 years. That's not what that means. That's everything. That's him saying Daima, Super, whatever we get for video games in the next 10 years. Maybe if Sparking Zero does well, which I'm sure it will, we'll get more, obviously. By the way, if you're sending Super Chats in, I'll get to them at the end here. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more. So it's not necessarily that one series will go on for 10 years. They're not going to be able to tell how long Daima will go right now, or Super, unless they know and aren't saying anything. Super is still ongoing. I don't know where this rumor started of Super ending, because literally at the end of the last chapter, in the last Shonen Jump, in the last V-Jump manga, it says next month the superheroes adventure continues. Whatever they're doing next month, or this month, we're going to find out in about a week, actually. Next Saturday, we're going to have the early information on all that. I feel like wherever they're going, we're going to know, but it doesn't mean it's ending. Like, we have a lot more to go. As long as Black Frieza's still out there. As long as Black Frieza's still out there, bro, we have more to go, excuse me. Adopting what is popular at the moment does not increase the probability of success. I will not be swayed by the current trends, but will create works that I feel are good enough. Okay, this is important. Adopting what is popular at the moment does not increase the probability of success. Now, that's funny coming from him, because he's the guy who looks at all the numbers. I think a lot of people are taking this quote and they're saying, oh no, that means that Moro's never gonna come, because you know, with people on the internet, it's always Chicken Little, the sky is falling. At no point does that mean any of that. He's just saying that just because something gets popular, just because a character, whether it be in the manga or Daima, gets popular, doesn't mean they're gonna adapt it or give it their own spin-off or anything right away. We all know that hit, super popular. This dude should have had his own anime. Assassin Hit could have had his own Mandalorian style anime, and we could have had that, but it didn't come to pass. They should have done that. They should have done it, but they didn't, so it is what it is. People, I think, are misreading a lot of this, because like I said, he's talking about that as long as he is in charge. You have to listen to this. You have to look at this from the perspective of Akio. This is not an announcement about Dragon Ball. This is about his career. He's saying he's working on this, anime, movies, and games over the next 10 years, right? Nowhere is he saying what that's going to be. He will be involved with Dragon Ball for at least 10 years, because earlier I was saying, people in the chat were like, does that mean it's going to be over in 10 years? No, bro. He's going to be involved for at least 10 years. I don't know. People seem to come to these conclusions, bro, and it's so bizarre to me. Like, sometimes you guys, like, walk before you, or run before you walk. Take it easy. That's not what he said. He never said that he's not going to adapt Moro. None of that was discussed. He's saying he'll be working on anime, movies, and games for the next 10 years. That's good news if you ask me. That is good news if you ask me, because he's the guy who's been pushing for this to continue. I talked about this in my video about Dragon Ball Daima and Dragon Ball Super. There was a power struggle behind the scenes between Akio and Shueisha. This is no surprise to anybody who's been subbed to my channel and watched the content. I've been talking about this now for months. I got confirmation from somebody else that there was a power struggle. There's an animator who talked to a buddy of mine, who basically said, we've heard some things and this and that. Don't know the details of it. That's a separate thing. What I'm saying is this is nothing new. Like, this is, It's not new information, but it's now being kind of publicly stated that this guy's in charge now. He's always been in charge, but now he's got the anime. So wherever Dragon Ball's gonna go, right? Wherever Dragon Ball's gonna go, whether it be Super or Daima or whatever, as far as anime goes, he'll be in the middle of it. Now let's keep going here. When the craze had died down, there was a time when the Dragon Ball craze, which had spread around the world over the past 40 years, had died down. Hell, that's last year, motherfucker. Y'all didn't give us anything. Y'all kept us starving last year. When I became the head of Shueisha's Dragon Ball room in 2016, I could not visualize what was happening. 7 to 8 years ago, I went to a huge event in Brazil called CCXP. I was told that Japanese anime were popular in South America, but there was a big discrepancy of what I was told. It's like these guys don't even live in reality, bro. Like they're in Japan is so insular. They don't even know what's popular. Let's keep going. The feedback from fans was weak. It may have been at the peak of its popularity when it was on air in South America. I also thought it was a result of relying on old-fashioned zeal. Therefore, starting with the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie in 2018, we took steps such as actively participating in events. This is what I'm talking about, man. Things are changing. Broly, Akio Iyoku came to America for Broly. You want to know how I know? Because the motherfucker walked right by me at the VIP lounge after the movie. The dude walked, I've talked about this numerous times. This is nothing new. He walked by me. I should have said something. I didn't. I should have said something to him. He had never come to a premiere before. And it surprised him as to how many Dragon Ball fans were there and how many famous people were Dragon Ball fans. People like the recently, well, it was recent. It was, over a year ago. But Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, he recently passed away. He unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He was a huge fan of Dragon Ball and anime. People who were basketball players, athletes, people in the NFL, the NBA, doctors, lawyers. Anime is not something enjoyed only by people who have body pillows at home and who jack off to hentai. That's not everyone, bro. A lot of people like anime. This stereotype of anime fans, which in some cases fits, but not always, and certainly not the majority, is not everyone. It's a lot of different people. So he goes on to say, I felt concerned that Dragon Ball has not been expanded worldwide. Originally, we didn't see the strength and diffusion power of the work. We need to take a closer look at this and see if we can do more. We are not looking for a one-size-fits-all approach, but rather we are looking for events such as the Dragon Ball World Championships, the expansion of games, creating facilities, and anything else that we can do. We will work on them in parallel. Never before was there such a simultaneous worldwide reception of anime. It can be said that we are now able to do things that we had not even considered before. From the beginning, I began to think about how much the overseas expansion of Dragon Ball. With Dragon Ball Daima, which will be released in fall 2024, we're taking on the challenge of creating an anime series with a completely original story. Yeah, there's no Battle of Gods or Resurrection F. It's going to be its own story. I'm glad that all of our works have been well received overseas. Daima was announced at New York Comic Con. Dragon Ball series is recognized around the world. It makes no sense to announce it somewhere domestic. Comic Con is a great place to announce your work. People who understand the value of the culture are gathered there to begin with, and we chose Comic Con because of its ability to appeal to spread our work throughout the world. How fair is it that Marvel, DC, Amazon, AMC, all the big video game companies, all the big nerd companies, all the big TV show companies, these companies always use San Diego or New York Comic Con to announce stuff. Disney does it. Warner Brothers does it. Paramount does it, right? Why couldn't Dragon Ball? Why could Shueisha not use it? That's what he's basically saying. He recognizes that we've been stuck in Japan far too long. And it's true. Anybody in the chat or anybody watching this who's been involved in anything Japanese, that it takes forever for us to get Japanese stuff, and sometimes we never get stuff from Japan. We have to either find a torrent or find somebody who has it fan translated or something. And I don't want it to be that way. We should just be able to get it like anything else. And that goes for not just Dragon Ball, anything Japanese. We are all connected now with the internet. There is no point in having something come out only for Japan. Look what happened with Godzilla Minus One. Godzilla Minus One made millions. It became it knocked Dragon Ball off the top 5, it's still in the top 5, of the top 3 biggest Japanese franchises films. Now it's Pokemon, Demon Slayer, and Godzilla Minus One, with Dragon Ball being number 4. That should tell you there's an appetite for things in Japan. Let's move on and keep going with the article. I don't want to be here all day, and I want to get to your questions. People who understand the value of the culture, oh yeah, I already said all that. Overseas expansion. If we compare the flow of manga titles selling in book format and then finally becoming anime to a river, the overseas developments were the ones that followed the river, meaning that in the past it was a fan in the sense of the overseas expansion followers later. Yeah, he's basically saying that only Dragon Ball fans follow Dragon Ball, which is not entirely wrong, but you can make new fans if you promote it. And that's what Dragon Ball Daima is supposed to do, create new fans. Same thing with other Dragon Ball, like Sparking Zero. You guys don't think that they know that Tenkaichi 3 made a bunch of new fans? How many people played Tenkaichi 3 and that was their first introduction to Dragon Ball Z? Thousands. It's just annoying because, like, hello, McFly. It took him that long to realize this. He goes on to say, it is tough to see the competition among anime due to the emergence of streaming sites, etc. Competition has been excessive. We must not create a situation where a manga becomes anime and when anime is over, the content ends as it is. That's true because Super continued even when the anime ended. The ideal situation is to create a situation where the average viewer sees the content. We are in a cycle of consumption. In some aspects, the cycle is becoming short-lived. I don't think it's good at all to have a boom that builds up and then burns down, which can be a factor in the content not lasting long. Yeah, like what y'all did in 2023, not giving us anything except for the stuff for this year. It'll be tough if we do not create a place to compete differently from anime as content. It's advisable for works that are popular now to be distributed simultaneously around the world to repeat generations and reach the next stage of popularity. In order to bring it in overseas strength, a leading role is needed. In order for a producer to take care of this role, they must transcend the boundaries of the corporate organization. What does that all mean? Danny, you're talking a foreign language to me. That means that instead of him, what he's basically saying is, instead of waiting for Shueisha to hurry the fuck up, he's going to say, you know what? Here's Capsule Corp Tokyo. We're going to do it now. That's what he's fucking saying here, folks. This man was handcuffed under Shueisha. What did I say on this channel 3 months ago? I saw all these weirdos. Oh, remove Akio, bro. All he does is bring back old characters. Look what he did with Dragon Ball Super Broly. He brought Broly back. Yeah, and everybody loved that movie. Look what he did with Superhero. Yeah, and everybody loved Superhero. Everybody loved, maybe not everyone, but Gohan fans were happy. Like, you need this guy. This is the guy who's going to push Dragon Ball internationally, not just with Shueisha being run by a bunch of 70-year-old dinosaurs. Anybody who has been following anime, manga, or toku for any number of years knows that Toei, Shueisha, anime TV is run by a bunch of old men that are stuck in the past. Akio is an older guy. He's in his 50s, but he's not as old as the guys he's working for. So he's taking the bull by the horns. And he's saying, no, we got to bring it. He look right here. In order for a producer to take on this role, they must transcend the boundaries of the corporate organization. That means I got to do it myself. I can't wait for Shueisha to do it for me. There must be someone who has a bird's eye view of the work and is in position to say to each company, I think you should do this. I push myself to be a catalyst for this through various discussions. For Japanese content to continue, it's necessary to have someone who can say, the status quo is not good enough. God bless you, Akio. You're not the hero we knew we wanted, but you're the hero that we needed, bro. Holy shit. He joined Shueisha in 94 as the editor-in-chief and then became the head of, well, no, it says in 93 he graduated. Then not 94. He started the Dragon Ball Room in 2016. Now he's president of Capsule Corp Tokyo. He's also the founder of Capsule Corp Tokyo. That's his company. He started that company. Executive producer of Dragon Ball. So I want you to understand what that means. Executive producer of Dragon Ball means all of Dragon Ball, Super, Daima, Sparking Zero. He's the guy the companies are going to turn to now. He's the boss. That's the way shit should be. Anybody who thinks that he should be removed thinks there should be no more Dragon Ball. And as a fan, Dragon Ball ended for me when I was younger. But, well, actually, Dragon Ball ended for me with Battle of Gods. That was like all I really wanted as a fan. As a businessman and as somebody who enjoys modern Dragon Ball somewhat, I'm happy about this. So that's Iyoku, bro. That's Akio Iyoku. That is Akio Iyoku, bro. And that is the story of Akio Iyoku now in control and now saying there's going to be new product for the next 10 years. He's going to be working on it himself. He's going to make sure of it. What more could you ask for, folks? You're getting Sparking Zero. You're getting a new anime that's going to look like Broly except every fucking episode. What more could you want? You can't wait a little bit longer for Moro. You can't be a little bit more patient. Little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, I know. We've been waiting a while. But holy fuck, better Daima than nothing. You've got the one guy, I'd rather nothing. Which, yeah, okay, go somewhere else, bro. Justin Sullivan says, this title reminds me of the episode of Rick and Morty where Rick is having some kind of mental breakdown and tells Morty we're getting 10 more seasons. Well, I mean, it's not 10 seasons, but it's 10 more years. He says, do you take song requests? If so, can you sing You're the Best from Karate Kid at the end? Not today, bro. Not today. Not today. Thank you for asking, but not today. I actually don't know the words that well. I just know the You're the Best around. That's all I know, bro, so I can't sing that song. Al Simmons says, Broly be a kid in Daima. Will Masaki Sato return? I don't know about Masaki Sato. I don't know about that. Maybe. I can't answer that right now. Maybe. That's from Al Simmons Hellspawn. Hip10 says, so Capsule Corp Tokyo and Shueisha Toei are technically working together. It's just now they have to go through Capsule Corp Tokyo. Yes. You that's it. Listen, what Hip10 just said is pretty much it. Iyoku will oversee everything now. Finally, somebody who wants Dragon Ball to continue is going to oversee it. Does everybody understand what I've said? Does everybody in the chat understand what I have said today when I read this? Do you understand? I need to make sure people understand this because I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know how else to simplify it for you. Like, I do not know how else to simplify it. Like, I don't know. I do not know what else to say about it. Like, I've made it as simple as possible. There's nothing else needs to be said as far as that goes. Let me answer these questions, though. The Cake says, I don't know how to feel about this. I just know this is bad. Akio Iyoku wants to add a streaming mindset to Dragon Ball, and that is bad. No, that's not. Okay. The Cake. We already told you last year that Dragon Ball Daima is going to be a streaming anime. Would you rather have a streaming anime or would you rather have nothing? Because if your answer is nothing, bro, you shouldn't even be here, bro. You should not be on this stream right now, bro. You should not be here. If you want more Dragon Ball, whether it be Daima, Super, or whatever animated, you should not be here, bro. Because that doesn't make any sense. I don't know how anything I just said is bad. He wants to add streaming mindset to Dragon Ball. Motherfucker, the whole world is doing streaming shows now. You want Dragon Ball to get left behind? You want Dragon Ball to stay on fucking Fuji TV forever? Or do you want us to have a chance to watch it without having to wait a year? Like, fuck, man. Like, I don't understand. Like, if I don't get what's so confusing about this. I tried to break it down as best I could. How is this bad news? Why do you think, like, how is it bad that they're doing streaming when everybody's doing streaming? Everyone's doing streaming. There's anime on fucking Netflix now. What is the issue? Anyways, let's move on to the next question. Dems Wood said, bring in SS4, SS5, Cooler, Janimba, and Yamoshi. I don't know what that has to do with anything we talked about here, but I wouldn't mind seeing those things get brought back if they're brought back right. If they're brought back well, I would agree with that, sure. Double A says, I think Daima will be Netflix, not so much Crunchyroll since they don't have Crunchyroll in Japan. Yeah, but you must forget what I've said numerous times. Just because Japan doesn't have Crunchyroll doesn't mean they won't have a way to watch it. You know? Just because Japan does not have Crunchyroll does not mean they won't have a way to watch it. Yes, streaming is the way to go because why would you wait? Like, why would you want to wait for a show to come? Like, everyone's doing streaming. So anyways, yo. So bottom line, to recap all of this, Akio, Iyoku, and Capsule Corp Tokyo are in control. He's going to be the guy for the next 10 years in charge of where things go. And he's going to be the guy He's going to be the guy that's going to push for more Dragon Ball. Anime, manga, movies, and video games. That's him. That's him. And by the way, let's not forget Dragon Ball Daima will have blood. WWE's got blood. Did you guys know WWE's doing blood again for the first time in God knows how long? So times are a-changing, folks. Times are a-changing. Let me answer these super chats here. Justin Sullivan says, says, tell me something. How do you feel about Final Fantasy VIII? I haven't played Final Fantasy VIII since it first came out back in I think it was 2000, 2001. I know I didn't like it as much as 7, but I didn't hate it. It just had a lot of problems that I thought could have been fixed, and it's kind of a broken game. I broke the game on disc 1. I got to level 100 on disc 1, and I pretty much became unbeatable, and that to me kind of hurt the game. But I kind of want to play it again now with modern eyes, with adult eyes, not kid eyes, you know. Dalt Van says, let's give the new show a chance. Any new Dragon Ball is good enough for me. Let's get to the end of Z and beyond. I mean, I don't know why people are still shitting on Daima. Like, there's nothing else that needs to be said. What we're going to do is this. 1 week from tonight, let me give you all the schedule. 1 week from tonight is the 13th. That's when we're going to get the Dragon Ball the draft pages for the next chapter, for chapter 101. Then on the 20th, the chapter will be out. We can read it. Then on the 27th is when you're going to get, the 27th and 28th, Saturday and Sunday is when the Dragon Ball Battle Hour show will be, and I'll be back then to discuss the news, because they're going to be giving us an update on Daima then. K Cruiser says Cooler, Baby, and Tapion are the characters that should come back, in my humble opinion. Well, I prefer they do new characters. You know, I prefer they do new characters. So again, I'm not saying Daima will be good. I'm not saying it'll be bad. I'm saying let's wait and see. But once again, this is good news because Akio is the one guy in Dragon Ball who will push for this to happen. Again, this is all, I want to credit DBS Chronicles. I want to credit Sailor Jupiter for all of this. This is their news. I'm just reporting on it for you guys. I'm just giving you what they're saying. That's all. So it is what it is. Anyways, man, I don't know what else needs to be said. Hopefully you guys understood everything I said. If you caught this late, I will leave a if you caught this late, I'll leave it up so you can rewind the stream and watch it over again. Thanks a lot for stopping by, y'all. Have a great one. Take care. And Happy New Year to all of you and your families.